being that it's in the news, and I hate to just bring it up, but the school shootings.
Yes.
What would be your solution if you were still teaching? What would you like to see happen that would possibly stop these from happening or reduce them? What would you've listened to some of the proposals out there, I assume?
Well, I'm a little confused as how some of these people get in, because of my schools, the schools were locked. You couldn't get in. You go up and press a buzzer, they look at you, and and you didn't get any further than the principal's office.
Right.
They're speaking about having, I think they should, at this day and age, I think there should be some kind of, what do you want?
Oh, can I take pictures?
Oh, sure. Whatever you like.
I think there should be some kind of, whether it's a police or security or something there at all times. We had a policeman in our school, but he was only there on a, like maybe once a week, every other week or whatever. I'd only see him on occasion, and he would have a gun, but if anybody wanted to go in on that day, they would probably know which day it would be.
Yeah. And plus, if they knew he was uniformed, they'd shoot him first, and then they'd have for the rain. Now, the president's put forth that qualified teachers, ones that may have had military experience, already have concealed weapon carries or are trained.
Right.
Allow them.
He's a policeman. And
Wonderful. Yeah, there you go.
So he's a jack of all trades.
There you go. So the president's made suggestions of people that are qualified, trained professionals that are teachers, and there are many of them.
No, that's what I said to him when that went about. I don't know of anyone in my school that even carried a license except for me.
But if made the option, if they were given the option to do that, given the training and.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Yeah, I have a lifetime license, and we go shoot on occasion, but there's a big difference in carrying a gun and target practicing.
Oh, sure.
And having somebody come into the school with a gun. If I had my gun and the door opens, I might shoot, and it might be the principal.
I could shoot.
Yeah, indeed you could. Indeed you could. But of course, there's always going to be the what ifs or the accidents. But it basically comes down to something as simple as this. Yeah. That if you're armed, at least you have a shot at protecting yourself.
Right.
If you're unarmed, of course, it's just,
right. And that's where this is happening. It's no...
And I think that, like you said, your school is locked.
Yeah. And I would think at this day and age, all schools would be
but
locked.
Then I have a contention with that, because you're getting into making your schools more like prisons than schools.
Well, it's the teachers all have keys. So like in the elementary, when the kids go out for recess, those doors are locked. When you walk out, those doors close behind you. They're locked. So nobody can get in. The teachers, when they take the kids out for recess, they're usually behind the building, and that doesn't mean they're safe, but usually they're. And only the teachers can unlock the door and let the kids in. So these people getting in at 10 o'clock, how are they getting in at 10 o'clock? Our doors are locked.
Yeah. Well, then now comes another contention. I have watched evidence. I have listened to students and a teacher. She was on NBC, Good Morning America, that said that the shooter that shot her, because she's one of the heroes that funneled the kids into the room, and the shooter that shot her was dressed in full military gear, including face mask. And of course, there was no follow-up question to that. They just went right on to something else. Multiple students talked of multiple shooters.
Which place was this?
This is in Florida, the most recent shooting.
Yeah.
So they were, and then you have the officers standing down. When you don't have a group of officers standing down unless they're ordered to. Now, here's the deal. Was this a false flag operation? was it because they've done it before. I mean, the government are experts, the deep state are experts at creating situations for political agendas.
Well, I know that, yeah.
Yeah, to go ahead and take our mind off of whatever, we might be focusing on.
Doing this over
children?
here while they're
No,
watching.
they don't care. They've done it with the hell. They've murdered, they've bombed buildings, they bombed trains, they bombed school buses. I mean, Operation Gladio was a coordination between the Western intelligence agencies to create false flag operations throughout Europe and blame it on the communists. And they constantly were blowing up school buses to blame it on the communists. So they don't give a damn how many children, they don't care who they kill. The people with political ideologies that are, tied into multi-corporations have little respect for who the hell they kill. But I'm talking about the evidence at that school that they buried were multiple students talking about multiple students. One student says she was walking with crews as the firing was going on, evacuating, and even talked to him. Said, my God, we thought it'd be you involved in something like this. And he kind of looked at her, like surprised. I think he was a patsy. I mean, look what they're focusing. They're not focusing on the FBI screwing up. They're not focusing on the authorities going to his house 37 times and not doing anything about it. So, I mean, they're not focusing on that. What are they focusing on? Taking away the guns from law-abiding citizens.
Oh, I definitely know.
So somebody else screwed. I mean, this kid's on psychotropic drugs. That's another thing that filters through. So we're talking about Manchurian candidates here. People that are made patsies. Because what was going on? Hey, Trump's tax cuts. Hey, the economy's working well. Hey, whoop, we need a diversion. Yeah. And then we need to get back to taking their guns.
Well, I would hate to think that that's what's going on.
Well, I'm sorry to even have to plant that in you, but that is what's going on. And here's a get out of jail free card from Hillary Clinton. This is good for any crime in the world.
Okay. Oh, we got all that on the back. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if they might have even taken those videos down. I know they took a couple of them down because I went back to download them, so I'd have them. But look on and go multiple shootings, Florida school shooting, students. Yeah. Do the search and see if you can find it, because there was at least a half dozen of them that were out there saying that, look, we were walking down the stairs to go out. A shooter was walking up, driving us up. We went to go down the other exit. Shooter was coming up that stairs, driving us up.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got it.
This way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. God bless. Hi there, folks.
I love it.
All right. Whoever this lady is, I want you to listen to her. All right.
I want to try.
Hey there, guys.
Corey, do you know who that is? Look at her face. Remember what you told me about when you said, what did you say about Hillary Clinton? Remember when you said, tell him when you said that. Were you embarrassed? I got a video of her going, Hillary Clinton is nasty. And I didn't even ever say that. It's just, she knows what she's saying.
The universal truth.
Amen. Amen. Your coach? Your coach? Coach. Yeah, you look like a coach. You look like a coach. So if you go to Central Casting and say, give me a coach. Really, yeah? Really? Yeah. Yeah, it's being at spring break, obviously, that's all I've been speaking to lately, As a teacher, and I'd hate to bring this up, but of course it's in the news, you can't help it, can't get away from it. If you could, what would you do to fix the school shooting situation? What would be your solution?
Like the marshal system, I would allow select teachers to have guns on them at all times.
Yeah, that's pretty much, I think, what he brought up.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good teachers. We have lots of teachers that have former military background.
Yeah.
Now, could every teacher? Oh, hell no.
No one's forcing them.
No. There's lots of teachers that I wouldn't trust with a gun.
Yeah.
But because either you do that, or you put more police, or you make the schools impenetrable.
Yeah, but then they turn into prisons.
Right, they do.
And that even that mindset, having
The guys won't come to shoot up a place where they know there's other guns.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. I mean, it's bottom line.
God bless you for being where you are. I swear, you can actually affect young minds. This is a good thing. Thank you for that common sense, because I've been running into some teachers out here that, are falling into the groupthink mentality.
No. We're most of us are against Common Core. Most of us are. I'm one of the few that's probably for school choice.
He's always
I just believe that the school system is broke badly, and you're going to have to break it up.
By design,
those people are making so much money.
Yeah.
The administrators and everything, our testing alone, we pay $2 billion a year for testing. That's bullshit.
It's turned into an industry and an indoctrination rather than an education center.
Exactly.
And
it's just what could we be doing with $2 billion a year for testing? That's bullshit.
It's turned into an industry and an indoctrination rather than an education center.
Exactly.
And
it's just what could we be doing with $2 billion? We just don't need to be spending it on that.
Do you? Beyond being, a teacher, have you thought about, school board or trying to do something to enact these common sense?
No, because me being a coach, I've moved a lot, and I've never really been in a community long enough to where I think of it. But maybe later on when I retire.
Yeah, that'd be great, because, have someone with you. That's what we need. We need guys like you.
Because if they found out the way I thought, they'd probably go after me.
Well, of course. That's why you see my question about the First Amendment today, right?
Yeah.
Because, you have... there you're going to be using Southern Poverty Law Center to go ahead and arbitrate who can post on YouTube.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And, then we got Alex Jones of InfoWars and Fox News being sued for questioning Seth Rich's murder.
Right. Well, here's what
he was killed by Hitler.
It's the freedom against speech.
Yeah.
It's not freedom of speech.
Liberals are fascist because they don't want any opinion that's other than theirs to be out and about. They hate freedom.
A healthy debate is great. I love a debate, but when the one side says you can't debate,
then they lose it right there. They've lost it.
That's when
God bless you guys.
Thank you.
That we're infidels. If you don't think like that, you're an infidel. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact,
But this is, this is so true. If you've got a conservative voice, there is no freedom of speech anymore.
Yeah, these news articles I just printed out today, they have, the Southern Poverty Law Center is going to be arbitrating who can be seen on YouTube and conservative sites.
They've already gotten rid of Alex Jones on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, they did?
Yeah.
I know they had a strike against him. I don't know if they took him completely
and of course
off.
They've been trying to get rid of Fox for...
Yeah, well, now there's Fox and Alex Jones are being sued. And the tactic is now to sue them to death. Just frivolous lawsuits and bleed them out.
So they can't.
Yeah, just keep on...
No freedom of speech. It's just so sad. Now they've got radio, so you can still go to radio and listen, but...
Well, there's still the internet.
And you've got the internet, and you can go to InfoWars or Drudge Report.
Which more and more people are doing.
Yes, that's true, but Alex, that YouTube, that was his big audience.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they took it completely off. As of a couple of days ago, he had one strike against him. They had 3, but they didn't take. They only took him down for a short period of time. But he's back up. But they're of course not giving up, and it's always a thin edge. Tomorrow they can just decide to, boop,
Yeah.
you know.
I know Sean Hannity. He's always there. Well, I'm here today. You
Well,
know,
I wish you were back teaching. We need you back teaching. You know.
God, I tell you what. Well, you're not supposed to bring politics in, right? And
But they
I
do,
know.
and you know
Nowadays.
how to, of course, be able to counter that without being overt about it.
But I mean, I said there has to be freedom of speech.
Yeah.
You have to have it, but if you're on the left, you've got all the freedom you want.
Now, as a former teacher, of course, I hate bringing up the school shootings.
Yeah.
What would be the solution if you were going to give a solution? What would you say to do?
Well, even in my school, elementary school, we had to have a buzzer to get into the building. You couldn't just walk in. And that's North Carolina.
Now, that's one solution, but I have a little bit of.
But the idea of arming teachers now, I have a hard time with that.
What would be your opposition to that? Why would you oppose that?
I would not personally want to have a gun and be responsible for that gun where I could have one of my kids get hold of that gun. You see what I'm saying?
Well, the what ifs, of course, we can draw out the many that would be that really don't happen.
That's my personal opinion being an elementary school teacher. High school.
But we're talking about correct me if I'm wrong here, but there are teachers that are ex-military and ex-police
There are
that
not
have training and
But
know
see,
the
that's
responsibility.
On the high school level, maybe middle school level. You don't get them in elementary schools. I've never seen one have 30
But
years.
the thing I have about more security in the sense that of making our schools more like prisons. Because I've talked to teachers that say, we have to go through gates, and then you have to get buzzed in, and listen to me, Jesus, sounds like a prison to me.
Well, I mean, yeah.
So that mentality that breeds.
But you have people coming off the street. I mean, what else? I mean, we had a police station near us, so it wasn't quite so bad. But I don't know. A fire station.
Well, I mean, when I'm looking at it, we're defending the First Amendment here, but the First Amendment is defended by the Second Amendment. All the other amendments are defended by the Second Amendment.
To bear arms, I just choose not to.
Well, no one's forcing you. That's not the deal.
Yeah.
No one's forcing you, but the thing is, the opposite flip side of that is denying people that would want to carry a gun. Now,
see, I have my friends, they all have guns.
Yeah.
But they're staunch left, and I'm there. That's why we don't talk politics, because,
well, why should they be the only ones armed then?
I know. No, I'm just saying that's what they've chosen to do. But if they take away the guns, they're going to be pissed. That's when something's going to be said.
If revolution just started.
That will be, because that would be the one thing that they are against, you taking away their right to bear arms.
Of course, rightly so. I mean, just as fervently as I'm against taking away the right of free speech, is be the right to bear arms.
Right.
And to me, that's what they're.
I have to agree. Now, do we have to have the, shoot 30 rounds in a second? No.
Well, they don't have those guns. I mean, they don't have them. I mean, they are. You see, this is where the propaganda comes in. The guns that they're trying to take away from us are single-shot guns. Pull the trigger and a bullet comes out. They outlawed automatic weapons to the public.
But they still get
35 years ago.
I saw. You've got to have seen this message, because it was a good one. It said, since we did such a good job of making drugs illegal, let's make guns illegal too. I mean, it's like, hello?
Where did you see that?
I don't know, but it has stuck with me.
Oh, wait.
I mean, is that not?
Yeah.
I mean, look what happened with Prohibition.
Yeah.
I mean, you take away people's rights like that, they're going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, even if they would outlaw...
The criminal's still going to get a gun if they want to get a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to stop anything.
No.
And
Your gun-free zone sign ain't going to do a damn thing. except to advertise for the gunmen to come in there and shoot people.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, it was nice chatting with you. Take care.
My pleasure. God bless you. And enjoy the rest here. Have a get out of jail free card from Hillary Clinton.
I need that. Just brighten my day. I do.
Yeah,
I want her so bad to be held accountable for everything she's done
any
wrong.
big bone that I'm talking to people out here right now with, it is the fact that, lock her up wasn't a campaign slogan. We want to see someone in jail.
Justice. We want justice.
Yes, we do.
We want it to come out, and I think it's taken it's taken the conservative talk shows and all the followers. That's what it's taken.
Yeah. Well, my thinking is this. If we can put Donald Trump in against all odds, we can put Hillary Clinton in jail.
I'm for that one.
A tip of the hat. I mean, indeed. No one ever goes into teaching to become rich. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Fourth grade psychology?
No. I teach math and science. I studied psychology in my undergrad, but if you have a bachelor's degree, you really can't do anything.
Right.
So all my jobs were like really frustrating, so I decided to become a teacher.
I've plus been speaking to a lot of teachers out here because of the spring break.
Yeah.
I've been asking them all, what would be your solution to the school shootings?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, better communication. I think it's a mental health crisis, but I mean, I'm biased. Yes. I think we don't have enough systems for...
What about a lot of these shooters are tied to psychotropic drugs that they take, the prescription drugs they've been assigned?
Yeah, and supposedly they don't really improve the happiness of the individual that's taking it. It's like a small degree. I can't remember the name for it, but there's a term. It's just a slight increase of happiness, but
the side effects are a lot worse.
Yeah.
I mean, I spoke to it was about a month ago, but the conversation was so striking. He was a mental case health expert, caseworker. He'd been in it for a long time. And I asked him, what is the seeming outbreak of mass insanity that we're seeing? We're seeing like collective insanity. And he goes, well, I can give you the official version, and then I'm going to give you my version. Now, his version was it was an attack from all sides on us, from the poison vaccines, the GMO foods, the things they're spraying in the atmosphere, the programming on the TV, and the fact that there's been an explosion of 18 and 19-year-olds going crazy. He says that age group, he says they're factoring in the fact that this is the first generation that has grown up from cradle with a screen in their hands.
Yeah.
So you add in all these factors and it's programming. And, the fact that our mental capacities are being limited from the very things we're ingesting.
Right.
Food we eat, the air we breathe, the water fluoride alone has been proved to lower IQ as much as 20 points upon ingestion. They put it in our water.
It's nuts. Yeah.
Well,
sell us bubble.
Yeah, so I just want water coming out of my faucet. I have no idea why the government's forcing me to, and then they say it's for our teeth. Well, if it's for our teeth, why do they force us to drink it? I mean, it is one of the most toxic substances known to man. And the history of it came from Nuremberg, where they found that Hitler got a scientist together and said, look, an intelligence agents, and said, I want something we can put in the water to make the people easier, more malleable. And so when they experimented on the Nazi concentration camps, that's when they found the IQs dropped as much as 20 points, and the prisoners were more docile and easier to handle. Right after that, Project Paperclip brought over about 36,000 Nazi scientists and agents. We put them to work for us. Fluoride shows up in our water. So it's a Nazi program that has been initiated on the people of America. And because it's a neurotoxin, which was qualified by the 2012 Harvard Medical Science Study, it needs to be prescribed. Well, if you're dumping it in the water, you can't prescribe it. So, that right there was one of the factors he brought in. And So again, it fits right in with what you study, you know. So it's always about control, because I'm looking at it this way. More and more, even teaching is being changed by robotics and AI technology and electronics.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we might have robot teachers in the future, right? Robots teaching, robots probably, right? So, when we know that a lot of people are going to be put out of work, well, what do you do with all those out of work people?
Well, I don't know, because that's where they find meaning. That's where you find meaning is, you know, what's in your work, how you're serving the people around you.
Well, indeed. But we got to find out how to do that, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be out of work with no sense of importance. And so, I mean, so what do? You dumb them down. You lower their, you give them drugs, and then you make them sick. You put them on hospitals, drain them of their wealth, bury them. And on that happy note, sure, these school shootings. As a teacher, what would you feel would be a good solution to that?
I think there needs to be stricter gun laws, and it needs to be harder to get guns. I mean, from a teacher's perspective, that's a really tricky question, because teachers at my school have been talking about like some schools in New Orleans have metal detectors, we don't. Some schools require students to carry backpacks that are see-through, and we don't. And like some teachers were saying like that they do know students who definitely have access to guns, but there's also a huge problem with making schools' security feel like prison, because then that just reinforces the school to prison pipeline. So a lot of people are very against having making kids walk through a metal detector every day. So it's complicated, but I think it should definitely be harder for people shouldn't be so easy for people to obtain a gun.
Well, one, and let's, speak more because we have to deal with what the situation is,
right.
Not what it should be or, can be. We have to deal with what the situation is. You can print guns on a 3D printer now. You can make guns out of a pipe. And if you make guns illegal, just like, the only people that are going to abide by the law be law-abiding citizens.
Right.
Outlaws are called outlaws for a reason.
Right.
A sign that says gun-free zone is only going to invite anybody in that wants to do harm. It's not going to keep the outlaw out.
Right.
I mean, if I was a criminal and I wanted to rob something, I'm going to go someplace where I see the sign saying no guns allowed. Oh, okay.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Now, the president brought up the proposal in line with the Second Amendment, which is our right to protect ourselves, because police response usually doesn't work.
Right.
Having, like you say, a lot of armed guards only makes it seems like more, prison.
Right.
And then if a shooter he knows who to shoot, to take out first, than to do his damage.
Right.
But and I'm sure you probably know some teachers that are ex-military, maybe ex-police, that are responsible people, know firearms, to carry concealed. I mean, if you only had 10% of the teachers, that's 10% of that nobody knows who's doing what.
Right.
They're not going to chance being shot from the side or behind or in front by having responsible teachers. To me, disarming people says you don't trust them. And if no one's asking you to grab a gun and do what you.
Right.
As a responsible person, you have the choice to do whatever you want. But it's also not in your purview to go ahead and tell someone else what they can and cannot do to protect themselves and you.
Right. That's true. Just the thought of a teacher carrying a gun,
I am old enough to remember where I used to take my gun to the classroom, go hunting afterwards. So, one-room schoolhouse, 3 classes. People brought their guns. We put them right next to where we hung our coats. Line them up. If you don't trust the people, you're saying you don't trust the people. I mean, you got to understand. Let me give you an example.
No, it's not that I don't trust individual teachers. It's just that at least the school network I work in, it's so there's like just not good procedures and systems in place, and there's so like a lot of students have a lot of behavioral issues, a lot of like there's just not good systems in place for dealing with,
for a reason,
you know, the things that have to be dealt with, and so many things go wrong all the time that
for a reason. I understand the need for
like everything goes wrong like most days that something will go wrong with that gun.
Well, I understand the need for reform. Big time.
Right.
Because the system itself, especially in education, was the first thing they target to screw up. If you want to take over a nation like ours, I mean, Hitler said it, you give me a kid at the age of 3, he's mine for life. It also, there's a great documentary watching a KBG agent, in fact it was 58, defected to us. Highest KBG agent, you know, it's like one of our, and he just said, this is how we plan to take you over. It's a 40-year plan. What we do is we indoctrinate the school boards. We put socialist people teaching your kids. After 2 or 3 generations, you wind up with 47% of the millennials out here thinking that Bernie Sanders would be a good choice. And that's the centralization of the government to destroy the republic. So it was a long-range plan, and the first thing they targeted was the education system, because that's where the seeds are planted.
Right.
And so now that things are changing so fast, and that the awareness of this is happening, because thank God we're not just listening to a couple of guys on TV telling us what we actually can go to different sites like InfoWars or Drudge Report or WorldNet Daily and get different perspectives from people who aren't being paid off by the pharmaceutical companies, you know, the GMO manufacturers, the people who are causing the behavioral problems that you're facing in school, because a lot of these kids are putting on what? Pharmaceutical psychotropic drugs, which is only making the matter worse.
Right.
We're creating zombies. We're creating, you know, so yes, that should be reformed. At the same time, we need to protect ourselves, because we cannot count on the government or the police to do that. That's been proven over and over again. Look what happened in that school shooting. Is anybody focusing on the screw-ups with the FBI, or the fact that the cops went by this guy's house 37 times and he was still able to buy guns legally?
Right.
So the gun laws didn't mean crap, did they?
Right, no.
Thank you. So passing more laws against people that had nothing to do with that doesn't make any sense. But that's all we're focusing on instead of the FBI screw-ups. And here's another thing that runs in one time is an incident, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern. And every one of these school shootings, practically 99%, the pattern is the FBI knew, did nothing, and the cops were incompetent. Now, who's to say they weren't complicit? 3 times is a pattern.
Right.
One of the teachers there that was shot in the arm, one of the hero teachers, said that the shooter that shot her was dressed in full military gear, including black mask. Well, why wasn't that followed through? Why aren't the students that testified to multiple shooters being explored? Why are they silenced? Why are you getting ripped off of YouTube if you even mention that? Why is Facebook stopping that if you mention it on Facebook, saying, you know, you gotta... One of the students said they were walking next to Cruz as the shooting was going on, evacuating. I mean, he's right there. I talked to him. We were on the way out. Why isn't she being explored? Why are we hearing this guy, this dumb kid, what's his name, Hog, going around going, oh man, the president's full of shit, we need to get rid of all the guns. What, we're supposed to listen to this, what, 18, 19-year-old, what? What's his life experience? Why isn't he why are we looking at him all the time? Propaganda. So you don't focus on the fact that, 1, we need to reform the schools, get rid of the psychotropic drugs, but 2, we also need guns. We need to protect ourselves. Those that want to carry them should be allowed to carry them. It's a Second Amendment for a reason. First Amendment is this. And the Second Amendment allows this to happen.
Cool, thanks. Appreciate it.
Pleasure talking to you.
Nice to meet you.
Did I give you a get out of jail free card from Hillary Clinton? Here.
Thanks.